Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. I'm Matt Koos, the head of origination for developed markets. I have with me today Nikita Segikov, VP of origination here at Fasanara.
Nice meeting you.
And we're joined by our guests from Finspot today. So, can I maybe start off by asking you all to introduce yourselves? Who are you? And who is Finspot?
Sure, I guess I can start. I'm Jovan, one of the founders at Finspot. I'm a software engineer by trade, education, with masters in quantitative finance, and I started Finspot with Miljan and Ognjen in way back in 2018.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miljan. It's lovely to be on this podcast. I'm one of the co-founders of Finspot. My background is in finance, so I did both bachelor's and master's degree in finance. And my first job was actually a startup, and my second job was family business, and my third job was invoice financing company that is today Finspot. Today, I'm in a position of CEO of our Serbian branch of business.
And hi, pleasure to be here. My name is Kurtic and I'm the CTO and also co-founder of Finspot. I'm a software engineer by trade with 15 years of experience in the industry, mostly on the intersection of finance and blockchain. As I said, I'm the CTO, so I'm leading the teams in Finspot that are in charge of developing our software and in-house developed platform, as well as other tools around in the domain of financing SMEs.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. We're really excited to get a little more insight into the market-leading fintech lending business that you guys have built there in Serbia. And so maybe if you could provide a little bit of insight into, again, Finspot in terms of what type of lending are you doing and who are your target customers now, and is that envisaged to change going forward?
Yeah, so Finspot started with an idea to enable better access to finance to small and medium companies. So all the way back in 2018, I was working in a family business that is basically our perfect customer. It's a company between, let's say, 100,000 euros in annual revenue up to 4 or 5 million euros that has around 10 employees and that is operating in the areas like trade, manufacturing, transportation, or in a service sector. At the time, Jovan worked in one of the leading banks in Serbia, and since the family business was always needing a lot of external funding, and even though it was supported by banks, it was never enough. We sort of brainstorm what would be like is it possible that small companies cannot actually get funded in a quick and efficient method. And during our brainstorm, we quickly understood that factoring is actually one of the fantastic products to actually solve this problem due to two reasons. First, and the most important reason, small company can rely on credit worthiness of their big buyers, and in that sense, very quickly get a lot more funding that they could do with the traditional banks and with the traditional loans. On the other side, the regulation for factoring was, even though it was quite strict, it was still a lot lower than a banking regulation, and that would leave a lot of space on the market to innovate and to actually enable this product to be available to small companies. Factoring has a big drawback. The drawback is that it's quite cumbersome. There's a lot of documentation. There are a lot of manual steps that you need to do in order to actually originate certain invoice. And we realize that unless we go digital and unless we focus on automation, we simply would not be able to actually scale it down to the SMEs that we wanna target. So after a month or two, Ognjen joined, and we started creating what is today, an extremely automated solution that allows, basically automatic onboarding, that allows automatic transaction processing, automatic payments, settlements afterwards, risk assessment, and so on. At the moment, we have over 200 clients that are quite happy. That we have a great retention. Companies are using us, I would say, more and more. And what we are super proud of, since we are on the market for around 4 years, if you do analysis of our clients year over year, great majority of them perform better since they started using our service compared to the years before.
And what would you say is your unique selling proposition, and what makes you, leading company in the market and helps you to hold the share and grow it to the next round?
First of all, I would say we don't have that much competition in Serbia and also in our second market, Croatia. But despite that, we really try to offer our clients, first of all, accessibility. So even companies that are completely new, that cannot get funded anywhere else, they can come with us if they have good invoice, and they will get funded. And also they will get funded very quickly. So we are proud that our fastest transaction is below 3 minutes. And typically our completely new clients that we don't know at all will get funded in less than 24 hours. And it is something that is fully enabled by our online software.
Maybe to add on that what's unique when it comes to the region, at least, is that we are really coming from the technology's perspective, and we are a tech lender. We see ourselves as a tech company that is doing lending, and this is something that really differentiates us from all the players in the region, literally.
And what actually that translates into is, even though factoring is intended mostly for smaller and medium companies, in practice, a lot of existing traditional factoring companies actually behave in a way that a smaller bank would behave. That is to say that they, usually take bigger tickets, do a thorough analysis on their client, and basically provide a loan that is in the shape and form of factoring. What we do, and I think this is also one of our unique selling points, is that we do not have any kind of lower limit on the invoice amount, meaning that we can process efficiently the invoice that is 25 euros the same way the invoice that is, 10,000, 50,000. So that is we do not discriminate against the invoice size.
Well, just to jump in here, I got to say, this is something that when we were kind of going through our screening process with you, it really stood out and it shined true because, we speak with anywhere from 150 to 300 fintech lenders in a year. And when we spoke with you, we really saw the fit for purpose of the technology you had built, which was enabling you to effectively, again, not just onboard clients, but then, confirm invoices, validate the underlying debtors, and make sure you were doing it in a prudent and reconcilable manner. So I wanted to jump back to something that was mentioned a little earlier, which was, the mention of regulation in the region. And I wanted to know how, if at all, you've used your technology and your new approach to basically build a compliant lender that compliant regulatorily, while also allowing you to scale with kind of lower OPEX.
Exactly. We were very fortunate with regulators both in Serbia and in Croatia that they fully embraced the digital part of our service, and they fully, accepted the way we, do onboarding, the way we do IML checks, the way we store our data, and the way we confirm, IML audits of every single client that we have. And they were also very keen on actually both, testing our risk assessment policies that are based on all publicly available data, both on clients and on debtor. And we are super happy to say that they really welcomed everything that we did. And even though we would question a lot, most particularly on the Croatian market, where the regulator is, I would say, one of the strictest one in Europe. At the end, we were compliant with everything that they requested.
And the data sources landscape, if I can name it like that, in the region is surprisingly, it's actually quite good. And you can do a lot of things through talking to public APIs. So this enabled us, for example, to completely automate the notification to the buyer and all these things, so that you can literally just through the platform, you can just follow through that all these legal requirements have been fulfilled without having to do anything manually. This then allows you to finance an invoice which is €2 because nobody needs to do anything manually, and that's a really good benefit of working in this region.
It's very interesting, guys. And what about the current trends in the market you observe in general across all the clientele? And perhaps you want to characterize them and give an example of some what you observe, doing the business in the local market.
We are very happy that one trend has been consistent for the last 2 years. The market is getting better and better educated on factoring, and the buyers are a lot more educated on factoring compared to 2021, where we did our first transaction in Serbia. So in that sense, client acquisition has been easier. And also, previously, factoring had a little bit of a stigma in both in Serbia and Croatia. It was associated with bad debts, not short-term liquidity. And I think Finspot and a lot of publicity that we managed to get in the last couple of years, since we were basically one of the first fintechs in the country, managed to actually change that. And factoring is becoming more and more mainstream product. Even banks have noticed that they have started offering factoring products. But luckily for us, we don't really see them as competitors, because at the end of the day, banks still offer factoring mostly to their corporate clients and one of the additional products within their lending lines, while we are really focused on that, and while we are really focused to scale the service to actually a small company.
And maybe what's also interesting to mention regarding the trends in the factoring market is that now compared to, let's say, 2020, 2021, you're starting to see different sub-segments of the factoring markets, like specialized services, things like embedded finance, things like specialized factoring services for transportation sector. So you're starting to have very specialized even companies, factoring companies, that are servicing very specific subdomain of the factoring market. So this is kind of a way to tell that niches are starting to emerge. It's not like just one giant market that everybody is trying to attack, but companies are starting to focus on individual industries or ways of introducing their product to the end client.
And to
It's
shed
very interesting to be part of.
And to shed some light with numbers, just for you and the audience to understand the scale of opportunity in the region. So with official numbers, in Serbia, there is around 1,200 factoring clients in total for the whole market. And there is like hundreds of thousands of companies. The unofficial numbers are, of course, a little bit bigger, but that just gives you the scale of the room that there exists for growth and how much education needs to be done still. And we believe we are there in a really good position because, as Miljan said, since we somehow people associate our name with factoring, we can use that in developing our brand further.
We've been pioneers in quite a few areas in Serbia particularly, and now we started to be pioneers in Croatia. So certain market trends we are not experiencing but creating. So, for example, embedded finance, we were basically the first company that started to play around with what is embedded finance, and so far we have integrated with one of the biggest retailers in the country, and we are not stopping there. We are going towards more and more bigger companies. We develop supply chains and offering them this service both at their advantage and at the advantage of their supply chain. And we really try to position ourselves, absolutely everywhere where there's invoice. We want to see a Finspot button to finance it, and that's something that is going to be one of our main advantages in the future.
Well, it's amazing to hear that there's a market in which you have more than 100,000 SMEs who have financing needs, but only 1,000 of them are currently using factoring. So it's not even just a matter of differentiating yourself, but it's just getting the message out that factoring is the financing option. So can you speak to maybe some of the challenges you faced within that context of, if someone first reaches out to you, how you're explaining how the financing works? So if I'm an SME who is searching for working capital finance in Serbia or Croatia, and I see Finspot pop up, and it seems like these three cool guys are offering potential money for my business. How would you then explain to me how your factoring works as a working capital solution?
I just want to comment on what we know the biggest disadvantages, that is hurdles, were in terms of explaining what factoring is. So it had a bad reputation because of some previous activities in the region, and this is one thing that we needed to overcome. And another thing is that people actually very often think that this is a sale of problematic receivables, so the receivables past due. So, and even a case can be made that factoring as a term is not a good way to start your conversation with the potential prospect. But the way we actually access the clients is through giving them the most simplest examples. So what they can achieve for their specific business purposes, given the industry that they operate in, if they optimize their cash flows. Maybe you can provide some more concrete examples.
So for the exactly completely new client to factoring, we now leverage our existing database of debtors. So in Serbia, we have over 1,000 of debtors that we have accumulated in the past 4 years, which is a great database of I would say high quality debtors that we know that accept factoring, that pay on time, that are happy to work with us. And when a new client comes, we really try to give them a quick win, which is, if you have a due invoice, we try to ask them for a list of buyers with the undue invoices, and we show them, if you want to get collected today towards these particular companies, you can. And once their brain understands, that this service is actually super useful to them, and the money that they get in advance, they can use, to expand their business, and even to save the money if they go to their suppliers and purchase something in advance at a discount. Their entrepreneurial brain gets hooked, and they start using us, more and more. But the most important thing is just to basically get them hooked that this service is super advantageous to their business compared to the way they used to do it.
And what percentage of your current clients have come via seeing maybe their buyers having used Finspot as a factoring? So basically, you have a client and they're selling, and then essentially you end up factoring those receivables. The debtor gets notified that they're paying to Finspot. How many of those clients have now come to you as a percentage of your book?
I would say that part is not that big. So the buyers in our transactions are maybe 5% of the portfolio are also our clients. But the word of mouth, so entrepreneurs talking to other entrepreneurs, is actually a very significant portion of the portfolio. I would say around 30% of the portfolio came simply to word of mouth, which is very flattering to us. That it means we are doing something right.
This is a very interconnected market, not many hops in the network. So everybody essentially knows everybody, to put it plainly. And companies that are in the same industry usually have the same or similar problems. So this is kind of where most of our clients are coming from as of now. I mean, not most, but significant portion.
So, we are essentially less than 3 weeks away from 2025. It's around the corner. So where do you see, the biggest targets for 2025? Where do you see your firm going in 5 years and beyond that?
And so 2025 we see as a year of execution for us. So it's a year where we would be limited basically mostly by ourselves and how much we can sell this product and ultimately scale it on at least 2 markets. we may enter even a third market in our in 2025. But today, like at the end of 2024, we really did the best that we could and almost all that we could in order to make the best software in order to have all partners on board, such as insurance, such as international collector agency, also banks, and also you guys as founders. And in 2025, our goal is simply to get Finspot to as many computer screens as possible, to have our button wherever there's an invoice in order to scale our portfolio at least 5x.
Yeah, we are in a good position. In 2025, we are betting on ourselves, which is a good place to be in.
We would like to get to close to 10x our current portfolio. Maybe not by the end of 2025, but somewhere near. So this is kind of where things change drastically.
And to get to that, to achieve kind of 10x, I think you need a couple of things. One of them being the debt funding, which we're very glad to be bringing. But what else do you think you'll need in terms of operational build out? Will you need to materially increase your teams, or is the tech that you've built thus far going to enable you to kind of 10x your portfolio without adding so many more people?
Based on current trends, we are going to be expanding our team. In percentage terms, is going to be like 100%, but we are at the moment 5 doing only financing. So we see our team growing to about 10 people, but that's still going to be a lot less than our competitors in the same areas at the same scale. So, and as an example, our competitor that is maybe 5 times our size has 50 employees. Our goal is to don't cross 10, and we believe it is very achievable with the technology that we have implemented. The technology is also going to develop, so we are not standing still. In 2025, we really want to leverage AI as much as possible in the approval process, and hopefully that will bring also additional value and scalability in the financing process.
Yeah, there will be some investments, especially in the development side, because we also want to, as the portfolio starts to grow rapidly, our processes are probably going to dissolve before we again make them work. So we want to have technology to follow that. So we're already quite investing into technologies, into approaches such as cash flow underwriting and other things that can help to follow that scale. So yeah, there will be some investment in that, and we're looking forward to building those things.
And we hope that 2025 will be the transformational year for you, for the whole team, for the whole company organization. But if we look back at the 2024, Miljan, you mentioned across few segments there were a number of achievements. Is there any single one, perhaps one or two, you want to highlight looking back at the 2024?
Yes, I would say the biggest deal was opening Croatian market. So we started in January to assemble the local team, to get our local partner on board. We submitted application to obtain a license. I think we started in March. Took us a few months. We got approved by August, and we started operational financing of invoices in October. We are very happy with the local partners, with the local team. It took us a lot of effort to both localize platform, but as well also finish legal compliance, onboard people, train people, so we can basically replicate the success from Serbia in Croatia, which is our first EU market and stepping stone into some other countries where we wanna be present in quite a short time.
Well, I think that's a huge achievement in and of itself. To be honest, opening any regulated lending business, being able to get a license, being able to grow a book within a market in which you have to show compliance on an ongoing basis to your regulator, and you have to again carve out your niche at outset by offering these extras which your competitors don't. As you highlighted before, being able to factor invoices as small as 25, thanks to the technology you've built. I mean, these are all huge achievements. I would want to highlight that again stuck out for me when looking at Finspot as a potential funding partner. But I think something we always like to talk about on this podcast is challenges that people have faced along the way, and then kind of lessons learned. Because we believe very strongly that nothing is certain. That everyone needs to take an agile approach to working. So basically, learn from your mistakes, improve, enhance, and make the process better. So if you had to pick out maybe a couple of the biggest lessons, maybe, two or three that you've learned over your full journey ever since starting Finspot, it could be anything from, staffing, from process, procedure, approach that you would want to highlight, kind of lessons learned. It would be great to hear.
There's so many of them.
Many things. I would say one general insight is starting a lending business is extremely hard. It's technology is like the fun part of it. Everything else is extremely hard. And when you try to do it in the region where there is no such notion, the starting fintech lending businesses is not a common thing, then it's even twice or more times harder. But in terms of specific things that we have learned, I'll start and you guys just pile on. I mean, staffing is extremely important. I think that three of us were extremely lucky to have found each other and to have aligned and divided who does what, and to have overcome so many things without falling apart. I think this is very rare, and we were very lucky there. But in terms of staffing, we had a couple of misses. So this is and I think the biggest lesson there is to try to notice that as soon as possible and change people.
Don't trust the biography.
That is a good one, and I absolutely agree. So checking on real experience is a big one.
For me,
absolutely. So staffing is one of them, I hear. What else?
SME credit risk there is a big reason why there is this huge gap in the SME finance space, right? And we started, I would say now naively in 2021. We had a lot of things developed, but it was mostly developed from our experience, also from consultants from various other industries, but still it was quite naive. And then we quickly hit the reality, or the reality hit us in the head quite quickly. And then it's the thing of adapting and applying technology and all the other knowledge in order to be able. I think we managed to move substantially from that place, because you can also see that in the loan tape. But that problem is still there, and you constantly need to address it. To always look into the new data sources and new possibilities and see how you can cross-check things. Because if you get easy for 1 or 2 or 3 months, things are just gonna go south. It's really a difficult space to lend money safely to, and whoever solves it first, hopefully, it's gonna make quite a mark.
And one of the biggest, takeaways of our first 4 years of financing invoices is that, you really need to have an open mind in terms of particularly that credit risk underwriting approach. So, Jovan briefly worked in a bank, but none of us three have, experience working in a big institution. There are some drawbacks to that, but there's a lot of benefits. Most of our risk underwriting has, been done in a way that, we have a certain issue, and then we, come back and see, what we did wrong, what we can improve for the next time, what can be developed. So we never had that problem, in the future. And, so far we've been very successful in that. We never had the same problem twice. What we did wrong, what we can improve for the next time, what in the same way. Also, a big learning for us is, credit risk sometimes is not the biggest issue. Fraud is even bigger. Entrepreneurs are very clever people, and also there are some bad apples there as well, which are also very clever. So you need to do your due diligence both on your partners, as particularly on the transaction itself. So you know what you are buying, who's your actual debtor, where your risk stands. And this is where we managed to actually make a material difference compared to 2021 and 2024. And the same findings we see that we can implement in other countries.
Yeah, and to that point, maybe to add, what's also very interesting finding is that, especially in smaller markets and in our region in particular, you can easily fall into the trap, which is you judge a company by its reputation, which is which can be good, or they work with them. We know these guys. Things like, just don't do that. It's extremely important to stick to your procedures, to stick to what you know to do, and to not make exceptions. To just not. But it's not like you would make an exception in a procedure, in terms of documentation and analysis. But in the back of your head, there can be a thought that says, okay, I know this company, they're good, but you don't know what they're up to and what's happening. Just stick to the facts. That's basically very, very important.
Awesome thing about factoring is that there's a lot of publicly available data on your client and the buyer, but you are also able to get a lot of data from your client. You just need to analyze it, properly to make a solid decision. And we really invest a lot in trying to automate that process as much as possible, so that every single transaction is as reliable. And the one that we do in 2 minutes is as reliable as the one that some old-fashioned company would spend 2 days on. At the end of the day, development is very expensive, but try engaging some good lawyers and you will see they are a lot more expensive again. So it makes sense to invest in the first place in the development.
Yeah, I think this first wave of defaults that happened to us in 2021 with this naive approach that we had, it actually helped us a lot, because we immediately started applying processes and frameworks around our work. And then this helped us to grow in a more stable manner down the road. So some of these processes that we set up back then, we are still using them because they proved to be quite good. Just to make sure that you're not making the mistake that, like Jovan mentioned, where you are maybe doing a decision based on your prejudice and not based on the data. So this was, we paid that school, but we paid it. It made sense in the end. We managed to grow out of that. And maybe a final learning from my side. Fundraising in this region is extremely, extremely hard. And we made a mistake that a lot of people make in this region, which is not to start immediately with aggressive fundraising, because you need to do it 10 times more than in other developed regions. And that's why you don't have this luxury of doing it late. You need to do it constantly and in parallel to everything you do. And we made a mistake of not being public enough with all our activities, everything innovative that we've been doing. We were just somehow waiting for people to come and recognize. I mean, not really in that sense, but yeah, you get the point. And this is something that I would, if we go back, I would really work on in a different manner, trying to be as public as possible immediately about everything that we do, and actively trying to attract investors.
Well, that was a good comprehensive list of lessons learned, but more than anything, I want to highlight that is beautiful to hear, because for me and for Fostenar in general, being a partner to fintech lenders globally, I think one of the worst things we can hear is when we go to someone and they say, I have 0 life to date defaults. And then it's this counterintuitive thing, because they think, oh, they're so proud, we've had 0 defaults. But at the end of the day, having defaults teaches you what you need to then look for in your underwriting, how you need to adjust your scoring model. And the fact that you then take this very detailed approach to doing essentially moratoriums on defaults to say, where could we have changed our process to catch this earlier on? That's amazing to hear. And that's clear evidence of taking, again, a prudent approach to lending and realizing, I also loved what I heard earlier in the conversation about the technology is the fun part, and the technology enables scaling. The technology enables growth. The technology enables, but at the end of the day, it is a lending business. And you touched on a number of other items, which I think are paramount within lending to building a successful lender. And those are also the things that you experience directly of not relying on just someone having a good name, which especially in the factoring world, we get approached every week by between 3 and 10 factoring companies. And I'd say half of them come to us and say, yeah, we ask for approval of a line, and if there's a credit line granted, then we fund the full amount. And there's no further underwrite. Or they say, well, this is a good name, but maybe they didn't look into the fact that this is the subsidiary in local jurisdiction, which historically always pays 9 months late. So, you've learned these lessons. You've also learned to be kind of skeptical. So as a lender, you're skeptical, you're critical, and that of course applies to hiring as well. Because someone can simply present themselves as the best in the business with a long track record of success, but you've got to fact check that. You've got to test their experience base. You've got to qualify them just as you qualify your borrowers. So again, all super good things to hear that you've learned in a short time of 4 years. And again, that puts you in great position to be able to scale, because now you have this foundation of solid lessons learned, prudent adjustments to underwriting, to scoring, to limit granting, which have then allowed you to be in this space where now it's all about scaling with the debt funding in place.
Yeah.
So again, just really happy to hear it, because again, worst things for me are getting on a call with someone who says we've had 0 defaults, number one, and number two, getting on a call with someone who's maybe been doing it for 5 or 6 years and is still shouting to the rooftops about how they rely on, well, this is the partner of this giant, investment grade company, so we don't need to underwrite them. So it's refreshing, it's positive, and it's something that makes us comfortable and drove our decision to then partner with you over the long term. So again, very, very happy with that. And then,
no, I just want to echo Matt's words on, on all the achievements in 2024. A lot of service providers connections established too. You opened a new market. We look forward to the funding partnership. Clearly, 2025, we hope and we believe will be the year of growth for you, streamlining the growth. And on this note, if the Serbian SMEs and Croatian SMEs will need more factoring inevitably, where they can find you, how they can find you in the market.
How can they get Finspot funding?
So, our website is an obvious place to go. But apart from that, and our sales team that is actively engaging new clients, as I said, embedded finance is our big bet in the for the next couple of years, where we want to, for example, now we are talking to integrate ourselves with one of the biggest data providers in a country that is used by thousands of companies. And if we have, for example, one of our good debtors that we have experience with, we want to have a button there. If you have invoices to this particular buyer, Finspot is happy to purchase them.
So yeah, the answer is we'll find them.
We'll find them.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that.
Sorry.
And then just before we close out, if you could maybe just give me a few numbers on Finspot to again shine a spotlight on the great work you've done so far. So maybe, do you know how many SMEs have you given funding to, and how much funding have you paid out since you started operations?
Yeah, I can cover that. So SMEs, we are around 240. Debtors more than 1,000. So the other side of transaction, we have paid out more than 30 million euros now since January 2021. Our average ticket is around, average invoice is actually somewhere around 5,000, a little bit less. But, exposures range from very small ones, basically one invoice large, to all the way up to, 70, 80, 90,000. So pretty diverse portfolio in that sense.
And we are extremely well diversified on the buyer side, but also on geography. So the fact that we are a digital first platform allows us to have clients that are, all the way from the south of the country to all the way to the north. And actually, we have a bunch of clients in the smaller towns that are not actively engaged by banks, and we are one of their primary sources of funding.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for spending the time to speak with us today. We look forward to ramping up our exposure together and partnering with Finspot to drive more funding flows to SMEs in Serbia and the region in 2025 and beyond. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.